call.
Angie Rowling,
Carl Strohmeyer.
Mike Gardner.
Jamie Percy.
Brian Harris.
Everyone rise for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the agenda. We have some changes we have to do here.
And I'll apologize, I missed some stuff with this building the agenda.
Yep, not a big deal. Some things that just were missed. It's been a crazy week. 2 weeks. Approval agenda, public comment, minutes, warrants, updates from town officials, animal control officer, planning commission, upcoming goals, municipal planning grant, Gary Sinise Foundation First Responder Grant discussion, Rising Tide Towers, cell tower application discussion, preparing for Congresswoman Balin's visit, discussion and announcement. The ethics complaint on number 14, we're gonna remove, public comment and adjourn. We need to add Conservation Commission and Parks and Rec, letters of interest, Borac grant expense approval, Tara's leadership course expense approval, discussion and potential approval, meeting recording, policy discussion and possible action and approval. Those additions, let's put in after, want to put them in after 13 where 14 was?
Yeah.
We'll put those all in as 13. Conservation Commission will be A. Conservation Parks and Rec, the Borac grant will be B. Tara's leadership will be C. Meeting recording policy and discussion will be D. 13 A, B, C, and D.
Make a motion.
Hold on, sorry.
Hi.
There's a Julie gave a liquor and tobacco. Do we have that on there too?
I was gonna do that under, updates from town officials.
Okay, fine, sorry.
Yeah.
Just reading my paper. We'll add that update from town officials, the liquor and tobacco from Julie will be under 8A. So let me just make that note so we can add these on where they need to go on our updated Facebook and agenda, our meeting minutes. So I'll entertain approval for the agenda with those changes. Everybody understand the changes?
Yep.
so
moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda with the changes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, public comment.
no hands are up.
Okay, approval of minutes, January 23rd, 2025.
So moved.
Second it.
Any changes, corrections, additions, anything there? A motion, have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Minutes of February 4th, 2025, emergency select board meeting.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion, correction? All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Warrants. Accounts payable, $36,177.93 from January 31st.
So moved.
Second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Accounts payable February 7th, $67,556.87.
So moved.
Second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
January 31st payroll, $12,965.35.
So moved.
Second it.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Payroll February 7th, $14,632.35.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain. Payroll February 14th, $14,259.83.
So moved.
Second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
updates from town officials.
So I only have the stuff from Julie, so it's her tobacco and liquor licenses, but also a reminder. So the first, and I don't know if we do these separately, but Stewart's has a tobacco and a tobacco substitute.
Tobacco and tobacco substitute go together. It's
Yeah.
liquor and, tobacco that has to be
That you would do
separate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Stewart's tobacco and tobacco substitute is the first one.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And Winchester's for second class.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And then lastly, Pownal beer and wine tobacco substitute.
So moved.
Second.
Yeah.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
And then as a reminder, Julie wanted to let people know that the absentee ballots went out today in the mail. They're also available here at the town office if you would like to request one. They can be mailed back, dropped off in the outside box, or brought into the office. And that is for the March 4th. And
Thank you very much.
that's all I have for updates.
The only update that I have is from, the select board, actually. We have finally received our new truck, for road maintenance. I think they got it last week one day. Got the wing completed, I think, just the other day. I do want to say that the road crew's been pretty diligent on getting the roads and keeping the roads for as much ice as we've been dealing with the last, all winter, to be honest with you. They've been doing a really good job, so thank you to the road crew and for keeping the roads where they are.
Hannah, does still have weight permits?
Definitely kudos.
Weight permits.
Go out to them.
We might have to do excess weight permits as they just texted me and I didn't know.
You gotta check for excess weight permits, so that would be under town officials. Yeah, bet Joel's not here because he's probably pretty tired.
You better rest up. I hear it's gonna be a doozer on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, I think they downgraded it, but
Overtime hours, so
they're pretty tired.
I bet they are.
I know we were texting this morning at 4:20, so I knew he was up pretty early this morning.
It was
I know
after
that for
four,
a fact.
and it was after 4 when they were getting back to the apartment, so.
There are two both sleeps, that's my fault.
it's easy to do that.
2 excess weight permits. William Keller and Sons Construction, it is a fleet permit. Joel has signed off on it.
Make a motion to accept William Keller's access weight permit for railroad foreman.
Second. The motion, have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
I have one it's a fleet permit for Renaud Brothers, same thing, Joel signed off on it, fleet permit.
So moved.
Second.
Excuse me. I have a motion, have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, weight permits are done. Town officials are done. Animal control officer discussing the procedure and ongoing concerns. That's Eddie.
Yep, so I've got kind of 5 items, I guess. Just some things I'm seeing, we run into situations on occasion that's not really covered clear in the ordinances. I know I've talked to Tara, I've talked to you, Jamie, a couple of times, some stuff going on that, maybe needs a side session, or I don't know, I'll leave that up to you guys, but, this one's come up a couple times is during, either responding to an animal at large or some kind of impoundment situation. There's been times it's come up. Most recently, I was assisting the sheriff's department, and before I arrived, they told me this dog might have to be taken to a vet, immediately. That's not something we've ever done or transported in the past. I didn't know if we have any procedures, or, if we come into custody of an animal that is in really bad shape, how do we determine vet worthy? Are we responsible bringing it to the vet or?
Personally, I think that would be a game warden call.
I think it's a humane officer.
That's a humane officer call. It says it right there in the book.
I understand, but that would be law enforcement and our.
The sheriffs are calling me, telling me this though.
You're not a humane
Yeah,
officer.
humane officer.
They are.
They are.
Then they're
That's
responsible.
their responsibility.
That's their
Here
responsibility.
on town contract time, that's something.
That's that they should contact us, not you,
Okay.
But
if they want that squared up. But
Yeah,
Okay.
that situation ended up resolving itself before I got there. Like I was at work at my day job. I told them I'll be out in like, it was like an hour and a half till I was out. And when I got there, they said, we're all good now. I guess someone came, retrieved the animals and it was brought to a different residence or all of a sudden a non-issue, but it was pretty close. And, and I hate to be that guy, but like, when it happens in the middle of the night, I don't want to like panic call everyone here and be like, oh, what do we do about this? So, that helps. So would that also include like the state police if they're calling and?
you should actually be, if they have a situation like that, that's in question, they should be contacting, in my opinion, the warden service because they're trained to handle animals.
Right.
So they're trained more in this, an assessment of that
Right.
situation. I guess is where I'm coming from.
Right.
And the other, in my opinion is the state has just turned around and started a whole new state agency
Yes.
for that specific stuff. Okay.
Yeah, so this is probably a low volume, short-term issue right now.
That is,
So like, yeah, cause one thing confusing, I've been told by like, the troopers, they can't transport an animal in their vehicles, which I get it, I'm sure, for whatever reason, but I guess they'd be in the same boat too, if it's like 9 o'clock at night and we're going to a residence, animals in bad shape. Just based on past experience, it's been, hey, you transport it to your kennel, but I'm just wondering on this.
those are discussions that they should be having with us before they turn around and call in the middle of the night. Not, okay, we're not worrying about this until we call Eddie at 3 a.m. to come and on this thing.
Right.
They should be, I mean,
First off, we're not trained
right.
to be the humane officer. You're not trained,
Correct.
or anybody else for that matter in the town. So it's kind of a moot point. They have to bring in a humane officer. So they can tell you that you're gonna take the dog to our kennel. Doesn't matter. We're not trained there. The big book of wolf or whatever that's written says that. So we can say our opinion is our opinion. Doesn't matter what our opinion is.
Right.
It says there in that statute or in that book that everybody goes from.
Yep.
This is what happens. So that's a moot point. They're the ones that are responsible, whether they bring in a game warden, whether the police do it, whether the sheriff's department does it, somebody from law enforcement.
Okay.
So we don't need to dwell on that.
Okay.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
Not your responsibility, the town's responsibility. That's their responsibility to take it. Now, if they transport it to our kennel, then
That was gonna be my follow-up, yeah, if something happens when it's in the kennel and it's just
I don't, to the best of my knowledge, that's not addressed in the statute, but we're not responsible for taking care of that animal.
so that,
We don't make the determination if it needs to go to a vet.
right.
It's theirs.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that too, I'm not a vet, I couldn't tell you what it
Right.
does, but I mean, at that point, when I try to get a hold of an humane officer like Dan, that we talked to here.
Not your
before,
responsibility.
That's their responsibility.
No, I'm saying if it's in the kennel, in our kennel.
Like,
If it needs veterinary help, if you're called and they want you to take it, it shouldn't even be brought to our
Right.
kennel.
Right, if it
They-
needs veterinary
If
assistance.
it needs veterinary assistance, they need to take care of it then and there, and they're responsible.
Right.
We are not, neither are you.
Right.
Okay?
I think he was just asking, what if it's one we already have?
Is that what
Yes.
you
And
were
something
wondering?
happens
what I
to
was
it in the
asking.
kennel
Sorry,
while it's in our custody?
Yeah.
What does
Yeah.
he do?
That's different.
that's different.
That's what he's asking for clarification on.
and I think the ordinance says if an animal is injured in our custody and it needs vet, it might even say that it's on the owner to cover that, but
Right,
it does. yeah.
It's just that special
That
situation.
would be within your realm.
Okay.
If an animal
It's
needs-
only if, okay, that's perfect.
It's more of if you're like doing the investigation, if
Right,
You
yeah.
don't wanna be taking an animal to a vet to try to say like, this is cruelty, or I wanna do an investigation, like, that's all humane officers. do.
Right. No, I'm talking strictly like medical,
Care then.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Okay. Perfect. There's been some recent issues too. I get a lot of calls during the day. You know, as you guys know, I work a day job. I'm usually available in like the afternoons, evening times to go to these things. Sometimes work hours run late. I had a call, last week. A woman had captured a dog at large. She said, someone needs to come get this dog right now. And I explained to her, you know, I'll be available, you know, within an hour. I can come right to you. We can get it transferred over. You know, she didn't like this. She said, what am I supposed to do with this dog? I have things I have to do. I'm going to just dump it here. I was like, no, you can't do that. She was concerned about the dog. Didn't want to do that, but I didn't know where I should refer her to or anything. She said she had called town hall. She couldn't get anyone. I said, well, that would be a good idea. You know, if someone here, maybe even just, I don't know, figure something outside, but
You have a phone, town phone, correct?
I do have a phone. That's correct.
That's the number that they're calling?
That is the number that,
If you're
this
work-
situation actually wasn't, no.
If you're working, I would use
You're
that,
working.
I would use
So-
that number all the time. And if you're working, let it go to voicemail and do not answer it
Yes.
until you get out of work.
I'm sorry, can I just go back a minute? So yeah, typically, yeah, my work phone, it just stays aside. This was actually a weird situation. Someone had gotten my personal number and called it. They ran into someone at the post office who worked for the town who said, call Eddie. And I thought this was a work call on my, personal
happens.
slash work. Yeah, so I was caught off guard. He's like, oh, you're Eddie? Oh, but I'm just, and I said, okay, you can try this. I'm really not available.
Here's the way I look at it, and I'll make it short and sweet.
Yeah,
This is a side job. This side job should never interfere or endanger your job to put food on the table for your family.
I do appreciate that. No, and I 100% agree. It was just a weird situation. Ordinarily, like you said, yeah, I prefer to leave my work phone out unless I'm doing some quick follow-up correspondence with like sheriffs on limited time, but,
Sometimes you just can't make everyone happy.
No, you can't. You have to let them wait.
yeah, and I could live with that. And I could live with that. I just didn't know, I don't want to see people now letting dogs at large that are already pulled out of traffic. And I didn't know if there was anything else or resources or anything you guys have seen over time or something else.
And they can do what they used to do before we had an officer, is contact law enforcement.
I mean, and then they take and try to contact us. That's the way it's always.
Right.
It's always been.
I try to have on my town the voicemails, like, if you can't reach me, try X, Y, Z, but it was just a weird situation, so. Okay, I didn't know if there was something else I should have done or given them.
No.
It was a weird situation.
It was a weird situation, yeah. Okay. Moving on from that, there's been the last couple impounds, there's a lot of questions I got about the puppy situation and things like that, and impounds from law enforcement. Is there any checks and balances I should be making in that moment that's, circumstances of impoundment? In this past case I was referencing, I got a call that they were going to, they were following up on a call that I told a caller to call the state police because they're calling me about animal cruelty. State police called me and said it's our policy, animal control has to go with us during a follow-up of this. In the course of this investigation, they said, hey, you're taking these dogs. I said, okay, and we brought them down, transferred them in. Is there, the reaction I got from, correspondence here was that I maybe shouldn't have done that. Is there some different checks or check boxes I should be looking for before things are impounded from law enforcement side, or?
But why do you feel like you were told you shouldn't do that?
When I reported it up, I was told we can't just go taking dogs from private property, even though it's from law enforcement, we can't
Well, when
take dogs.
I said
from
that,
situations.
I was under the influence that you had got a private call and was gonna go onto the property.
And
At that point, I didn't know law enforcement was involved when I said that.
And I think you're mixing up a couple of different conversations that we had through email. Because I do remember specifically that they wanted you to come back maybe for more animals.
Yeah,
And
they did too.
You can't do that with four.
Right,
We
yeah,
already both.
there was many different emails that went back. And
Yeah, I know, and that led to questions that aren't answered by, the state's attorney and et cetera since, so. No, I wasn't even gonna go down into that stuff, but I didn't know if there was something, just in the initial correspondence, I should be checking with them before we, impound, or, cause to me, it was, it was pretty clear animal cruelty and,
Then why wasn't the humane officers there in charge of that?
well, they were.
It was
Well, why
VSBA.
didn't they, why wasn't, if you look at the new book, was there a vet on?
No,
Then they didn't do a proper investigation though, did they?
But when did
not by
the,
my research.
Yeah, when did the book come out? When did that
Well,
situation
the
happen?
statute didn't change, though. That was still the same before this latest
right,
version.
that's what I'm gonna say. This situation was long before this book came.
It was.
into-
But they were supposed to take it to the vet in the
That was the-
pre-generation, and they didn't do that either.
That's true. That's what I mean. I don't know if I'm in any role in making sure, because,
That's not your job to make sure that their investigation goes smoothly.
okay, yeah, I got feedback from someone.
Sounds more like
I
they
should
just
be.
took advantage of it and got him to take the dogs when they were supposed to.
Because they gave it to you,
Well,
and then they walked away. How long was it before they contacted you again?
They didn't contact him. We had to
No.
on release for.
the officer in charge of the investigation, we were in regular contact for weeks after this, pretty much until it fell in the state's attorney's hand and we had to get a release. I mean-
Yeah, I feel like doesn't it always go into the state's attorney's hands though? Like if the law enforcement removes an animal, doesn't it always go to the state's attorney and then she
Right.
has to say whether we can get rid of them or not?
And was charges ever filed on this person for humane?
I was told that there were, yes, but again, yeah, there's no vet visit, which I don't think there's anything I can do about it. They
That's
said
not your
that
job.
should
I'm
be-
just saying that what ends up, in my opinion, what ends up happening is that they call you to pick the dogs up. And then they won't do nothing. Because Tara had been trying to get a hold of them to find out what the scoop was with those. And they basically ghosted us.
You mean the state police or the,
State's attorney though,
State's attorney.
oh
I
yeah,
believe.
yes.
We're
Yeah.
still dealing with something that's
So,
what,
I
3
mean,
years old? 3 years old that they won't answer us with.
I know, I understand. I'm right there with you too. I made calls on my own too, just trying to move things along. The state police were communicating, but yeah,
And
it's,
that might have been where the confusion in the email came from about removing animals, because you cannot remove animals from
Period.
people's
Right.
property. Like, there is no ifs, ands, or buts. You cannot do that. The state police and the sheriff absolutely can do that.
like,
Once they have done their due process and gone to a judge. Because you can't take somebody else's private property.
But again, that's not for him.
But that's not for you.
yeah,
All right?
yeah.
Because if a private,
All right, let me get clarification on that. So if he is with them, assisting, accompanying, and they want to confiscate an animal, should he then ask, do you have your court order before they try to get him to take possession of the animal?
that's why I feel, yes.
I would say, yeah.
I believe he should see paper.
Because if the animal is in need of medical attention, and that's their rationale for taking it, then it should fall on them having to have the vet.
But they should have the vet there.
Yes.
Because the new rule says they have to have a vet when they do
They
the
would have a
confiscation.
court order.
Yeah, but they would still need a court order. They would still have to call the judge. They can't just say, can't just tell Ed, we want you to take the dog. Cause it sounds like that's what they've been trying to do.
They've been doing.
They're skirting their responsibility,
Yes.
which may also be why they're kind of ghosting you because they realize they screwed the pooch.
Right, because when I reached out to the state attorney, they were like, no, we don't have any pending charges on that, for that person.
Yeah, so they just pawned it off on Ed and,
Yes.
the town at large.
So
So
maybe
I would say at that point.
So for moving forward, I would suggest.
Some people have to say
paperwork.
Without
You
paperwork,
have to say, unless you have your court order, and if this animal is in need of medical attention, that's not you, that's on them.
Well, right, yeah, and that just goes, they should bring a vet there then.
Yeah,
This could have easily, I mean, in this case we're talking about in particular, probably could have used a vet on site there just to be safe. Things turned out good, long-term moving forward, they should, have it as a good rule.
Don't be afraid to ask questions.
And
That's what I'm here doing. I mean,
No, I mean,
I can't always gather everyone at 9 o'clock at night when,
No.
when we're here. And I'll be honest, I'm there. This is an emergency. There's no question. I see dogs that are on the brink, not going to survive on their own. So we're all on the same page. They have to be removed, the state police facilitated it and, I impounded them. So, I get it. And I don't want to slow down that process, but I also want to look out for us here and make sure we're checking all the boxes and we don't create this.
Well, it'd be one thing if the state police were doing their job and the state's attorney was, but it
Yeah.
sounds like more than one occasion, they've just kind of
Well, yeah. And
dumped an animal on us and then it lingers in limbo for.
Well, yeah, and some of the questions too, like we were saying, we had other correspondence was during the time our kennel was full, there was several requests I got from, from more police, hey, come take this dog. And, I'm hearing, well, we're beyond capacity, can't take it. I was, threatened that, hey, the state's attorney says you just take dogs, period. And I said,
We only are.
Well, still tell them no. My opinion, we would fight that if they tried to.
Now on, you get those things in writing and send it to Tara, and then she'll deal with the,
And if you.
Then it'll come, we'll take
Comfortable with me sending sort of an email that says, if you're gonna request our animal control officer take animals, please be sure that you have court paperwork.
right, no, and that's okay. I think we have a good relationship with the state police, they're fine. It sounds like this is what they're hearing, this is what they're saying, and it is what it is. And I just told them,
You're not gonna be.
I just told them,
So
no,
weird asking them for that stuff, you're gonna be okay.
I'm totally fine with that.
I
I'm
just don't
totally
wanna.
fine with that.
make you
It's okay to say no, from our role, so,
absolutely.
and I've heard no a couple times already, so. We're good here.
Okay.
Okay, so going forward then, they should have a judge-signed court order to remove animals from private property.
some type of document.
Yeah, they can't just unilaterally decide on their own to confiscate an animal.
right.
Well, I believe there's legal judgment.
I think we should.
Maybe we should review that more, actually.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I really don't, because what you're saying is okay, now we'll get a court order. And I think that they need to come and there needs to be some sort of discussion between us, the state's attorney and state police, because they say this is what their policy is. But they haven't had no contact with the town other than telling you.
True.
Okay, and I just think that they need to come to somebody and sit down and we need to have a powwow.
So I think we need to send, I think we need to send an email from the select board to the sheriff's department and state police and say, look we're not gonna do anything else with dogs or animals unless we have the proper paperwork from them to confiscate a dog or take care of a dog that is confiscated on their part. I think don't worry about, don't have them come into us. We send them an email. We take the aggressive,
Okay.
we take the aggressive stance, say
That's fine.
this is what's gonna happen, cause this is what is supposed to happen
By the law.
by the book. So I think we just go ahead and do it.
I'll draft it and
Yep.
bring it back to the next regular.
Yep. And then there's no question.
Yeah, no,
It takes everything off of us.
No,
takes everything off you.
it's not even about that. I just want to be by the book. I want to get it squared away. And
It's better to ask the question than to just.
Yeah, no,
fight their own.
and to be honest with you too, I worry if, there's no vet there, how is their animal cruelty case going to hold up, I'm really disgusted what I saw and I think people should be held accountable and I think just doing everything, checking every box.
There's a reason why you have those policies, and if you don't follow the policies, then you're not, then that case gets thrown out. And look what you've done. You've wasted money, time, and resources for a case that you knew you never could prosecute.
Yeah, exactly, but, okay, so I'll just, well, I guess we'll follow up on that one then. Awesome.
Next regular meeting.
I only had a couple more things too. I just, we're coming around to like the new budget season and I don't know if you guys probably saw, I think we saved a lot in the animal control budget this last kind of period, despite everything going on. I didn't know if there was any training recommendations you guys had or, being new to kind of animal control world. I don't know if there's anything recommended or anything, BLTC has that for town animal control officers.
Probably the LCT trainings.
Yeah,
I don't think the board wanted you to do any like humane training, but as far as animal.
no, and that's just what I mean, yeah.
Look into it, see.
I'm sure there's probably at least a basic training on the big bug. Well,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's not the big book of wolf anymore.
Yeah, formerly.
Municipal dog, actually, it even says it
Dog
on
control manual.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just kind of open for recommendations, I've like shopped around a little online and thought about making some requests, but I guess I just wanted to put it here before I do all that and what the board's pleasure is on.
Let's look into some training and we can come back. We can probably do that before the next meeting and we can do all of that at the same time.
Okay, that's all I really had, and I was just, wondering any feedback if you guys had for me, just in terms of things, and incidents going on lately. I don't know if you guys wanted more regular reports, I usually write incident reports on any big calls or at least a brief activity log. A lot of calls I can solve on the phone if it's a non-animal control issue, so, it's education or something like that.
I think we're in pretty good shape. No, I think there's some stuff that we're clearing up. You brought some stuff up tonight that we can clear up pretty easily. And I think it needs to be cleared up so there isn't any discrepancy and it'd make things easier for you. I made some notes here while we can move forward on that. Anybody else have anything? Nope.
I'm open to anything, I just want to utilize the role as best as.
We're looking into training.
I'm gonna be.
I made some notes here on that stuff. I think we're good on the reports. We find out when there is something major going on. I think we're in pretty
One
good
quick
shape.
question though,
Mhm.
since you're all set.
Yeah.
When do people get their dog tags?
They're supposed to get it before, they're supposed to get their license stuff in before April 1st.
Right,
Is there any event going on where they could come and get their
yes.
tags and?
Yes, it's coming up.
Maybe.
We have the-
I know, I just wanted to plug it out there so people.
Oh, the rabies clinic is coming, yes. Yes.
Julie usually brings that to us.
Yeah, Julie will bring that to us, but there'll be a.
Town report.
And it's in the.
Yes, it is, it's in the town report,
It's on the website too.
and it's on the website.
darn near the top, yeah.
You didn't have to quiz him, Carl. You could have just brought it up.
Sorry, I like a challenge.
I
I
didn't
like it.
trying to quiz him, see if he's gonna.
No! I'm
How
not-
you do it? You passed, all right? You're good. Yeah. I guess it was a pass or fail. You're good. You passed.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know if you guys need any help running that too. I mean, I do work that day, but if you guys need
That's a
assistance.
Julie thing.
Yeah, that's a Julie.
I saw it and I thought that, I'm like, oh, I wonder if, in the past, that's something.
Ask her to let you know.
Okay.
Perfect.
All righty.
All right.
Thank you very much for
Thank you.
coming in.
No, I appreciate you
Thank you,
guys giving me your take.
Planning Commission upcoming goals, town plan bylaw update discussion and decisions.
So when you all met with John for the planning commission, you asked him and his board, to start working on the bylaws. After reaching out to BCRC and sort of getting that ball rolling, Scott Grim-Lyons from the BCRC suggested that maybe the town plan update would be more beneficial to start that first, because depending on what's updated in the town plan, there might be more changes to the bylaws that need to happen. So he suggested that we do that, but since you guys had just approved John working on the town plan or the bylaws first, I just wanted you all to put it in the minutes if it's okay for them to work on the town plan first.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
I didn't
sounds like it
realize the
makes
town plan was
sense.
that close.
It's about.
Yeah, we're only 2 years away.
I thought we had like 4 years to go. but-
No, well, I honestly thought we had more time too, so when it was brought up to us on the planning commission, we were like, oh yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Why waste the next?
Yeah, why waste
9
time on,
months?
yeah.
Turn around, do the town plan, then go right back to bylaw.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
So, do you need a motion on that or just,
No, I'll take a motion, please.
I'll make the motion that we, start the, town plan and put the, updated bylaws to the side for now,
For the planning commission,
for the planning commission.
second that.
I have a motion to give a directive to the planning commission to work on the town plan versus the bylaws at this time. I believe
Second,
that's what it is, correct?
Yep, yep.
And I have a second. All in favor? Municipal planning grant, first responder grant discussion and possible action.
So the municipal planning grant is something that we've been doing every year for the past couple of years at least. This time I would like to apply to cover the costs of the town plan updates.
Make a motion that you go forward applying for the municipal planning grant.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And that will most likely cover most of it. Sometimes you
Should.
can match,
Yeah.
but it's kind of a small match. It's not a big deal. And so the Gary Sinise Foundation First Responder Grant is a grant that I found out of a list that I received. I've been doing a lot of research on different grants that are appropriate for our essential services. Many of them are super competitive, and some of them are already applied for by their hired grant writer. So I'm hoping that I can apply for this one. I will work with them to see what they would like me to apply for. But it would be on behalf of rescue and fire. And other Vermont municipalities have received this grant. It's basically you apply, it's a very easy form. Just say what the need is, what the amount is. They give sort of favor to lower income communities and volunteer fire departments.
and that's basically for equipment,
Yeah, for anything really, but it would be.
basically equipment, like for
So I just
air
want
packs
to
and stuff.
I just want to be clear, Sarah, when you say you're gonna work with them, I know, and you do,
Sorry.
it's going to work with, when you say them, it is both fire departments and rescue squad. So not just one or two organizations, it is our essential services, which includes both of our fire departments and the rescue squad. I just want that to be clear.
Oh, thank you.
Are you looking for a motion for that?
Yeah, why not?
Or can she just be
No,
directed?
I think we, because of
Make
the
a motion?
past things, we can put.
I'll make a motion to approve authorizing Tara to apply for the Gary Sinise.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm like, the Gary Sinise Foundation First Responder, gosh darn it.
Okay.
There it is, Foundation First Responder Grant.
Second that.
My phone was jumping around, so I was trying to read it.
I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Rising Tide Towers Cell Tower application discussion. So I'm gonna have Hannah come on up, because you and I have been working on this with one of the residents.
Yeah, so back in December, you guys, gave me approval to reach out to the PUC, which is the Public Utilities Commission, to request a public hearing for the proposed cell tower at 127 Crow Hill Road. I've reached out multiple times via phone and email, didn't have much luck. I did end up hearing back, and they said that the clerk would get back to me, which she did not, but I did hear back from an abutter, Tanya, who said that the cell tower company, Rising Tide, filed the petition with the PUC approved, so now we're in a 30-day window. We have until March 7th to basically write a letter of support or denial. Tanya put me in contact with Annette Smith, who's the executive director with Vermonters for a Clean Environment. And she did say that the PUC does not do public hearings, so we were under the impression that they would come here and do a public hearing. She said that's not what they do. They don't do that for the towns. So during this 30-day window, I get sent you guys all like the process of where, whether it's a small claim or a large claim, where we're at. We're in that 30-day window where a municipal body has the opportunity to send a letter of denial or support. We cannot use things in the letter if we did decide to send a letter of denial. We cannot use things like health reasoning or property damage or property value reasoning. So Tanya did provide printed you all a copy and email the 3 reasons where they feel it does not comply. So that's really up to you guys what you wanna do now. The process is a little different than we thought, but we are in that 30-day window, like I said, and we only have until March 7th.
See if they meet the criteria that's listed on the sheet.
And after that, if we did decide to write a letter of denial, it gets sent to the PUC, the Public Utilities Commission. They review the letter. If they felt like our reasoning was good enough, they'd open up a hearing. They'd do like their own evidentiary hearing. If not, they'll just issue their decision. So that's kind of how the process works from here.
Thank you very much.
Let me just look at something.
Do we have a
March,
plot plan of the tower versus the property line already or not?
Yes.
mhm,
That's all in there.
it's on the application. If we were to schedule a public hearing, do we have to, but it's a 15-day?
Yeah.
Yeah, 15-day window, right, Ian? So my recommendation, is we as a board schedule a public hearing to get public input on this. Not just from the residents, the immediate residents. And I understand where she's coming from, but I think we owe it to all of our constituents to get the public input on whether or not our residents of town want to look at or have a cell tower there. So we have until the 7th of March to write that letter. And we have 3 weeks. So we have enough time to schedule a public hearing.
It's 3 weeks from tomorrow.
Yeah, right. So my recommendation is we schedule a public hearing for first week in March. We could schedule a meeting.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is that something that we could do at town meeting since it's open to the public? No? No?
Well, I think you have to schedule a separate.
Okay, I was just wondering if we could open up the discussion, no? Okay.
We could schedule a public hearing for March 6th where we did a reorganization of our board and then a public hearing after. Right? I know it's gonna be hard, but we don't have a lot of time.
The only thing I would want to double check on is if they need it by the 7th. Or if we send it on the 7th, if that's okay. And I know like with some state things, it has to be delivered by mail, like we were talking with Scott from BCRC the other night, like with certain things. At the state level, it has to be delivered by mail or by hand. It can't be via email, so I'd want to check on that.
Because right now we're looking at town meeting is the 3rd,
Voting is the.
voting is the 4th.
Yeah.
You guys,
Well, seeing as that would put us pretty against the wall, just
That's right.
informally, how's the board feel about it? Just voting on it ourselves. That's kind of what we're elected for, is to make decisions.
And I don't disagree with that.
I'm only saying it, I totally agree with the public hearing aspect of it. It's the time frame part.
I know, that's what we're up against, right? And I totally get that.
The letter. We send a letter, what are we sending a letter to state to them?
How we agree or disagree, correct?
Is it-
if we disagree, we have to explain how it doesn't comply to our bylaws, the state or the state law concerning towers. It can't.
So basically, it's basically going through and saying, here's where this project violates the town plan or the zoning bylaws.
Yes, because like we talked about if the cell tower falls over, it needs that plus 10 feet from the property line.
Correct.
If it doesn't meet that setback, then you could write that in the letter.
And that's what the letter from the abutter, lists 3 things that they pulled out that directly you could reference it. And honestly, the setback one, I think, is the major one.
And I understand what Mike wants to do, but from a public hearing, would we get anything more to put in the, I mean, maybe we do both. We send a letter stating, let's see, here, this is where it violates our zoning stuff in our town, whatever. But that's addition to having a public hearing.
At the end of the day, if I understand the process correctly, even if we issue a denial, they hold their hearing and they can just override it and then that's the end of it.
That's the end of it.
Mhm. That is correct.
I'm torn, like I am all for additional cell service, but I didn't realize how tall it was versus the setback off the property. That concerns me. You're not talking a couple of feet of overreach onto a property if it falls. You're talking going 100 feet onto somebody else's property if that thing topples. How likely is that to happen? Probably not very, but they put it in.
But the setbacks, but the setbacks are the setbacks.
Yeah, and they put them in there for a reason.
Right, in case it does.
And it's not that it only encroaches on one property line, it does it on 2. So again, I would say, does the board want to make a decision or do the public hearing? Because I'm perfectly fine making a decision now on it.
Then let's make a decision.
Make it, send them, because basically,
I'll make a motion that we deny it and send a letter that we deny it to the PCU.
What's the reason?
The reasoning, the main reasoning would be the setback. But I say we list the 3 reasons that the property owner listed to us.
And
Do we know that these are fact?
I was just gonna say that,
Oh,
Yeah, I'm sure Hannah will double check.
we'll double check these reasons.
Yep.
I'll
Okay.
draft one and I'd send it to you guys.
I don't remember, I honestly don't remember the, height of the tower off the top of my head. But I do remember having conversations with Mrs. Hart about this. Excuse me. And I believe she's correct on all of these.
I just want to make sure.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We'll make sure, we'll have Hannah reach out, and as long as these 3 reasons that she has listed here are fact with our bylaws, then I think we send that letter based on these 3.
Hannah will have time if she drafts it to bring it back on the 27th.
Right.
For you all to
Can we,
approve or not.
if we amend the motion that it does, if your research
Shows that these
complies
reasons.
with these.
Right, but we still have to-
Facts, then we give you the green light to send that letter
but should we sign that?
after the chair.
We should sign it the 27th, we'll have to.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
I'll send it to you in email.
Let's
I'll second that if that's,
research this out, let's research these facts out, let's not vote on the letter tonight, bring it back to 27th.
I'm fine with that.
We'll research these facts to make sure that it's 100% factual, I'll work with you on that. We'll work on this together if we have to.
That way we dot our i's across the
Don't, maybe
t's.
there's something else in there that you.
Right, there could be some other things in there. And I'll be honest, I was under the impression that once we requested a public hearing through PUC, that they would have. to
That's what I
do that.
thought, too.
Right, that's the way I read it. And that's apparently not the way it is. So I haven't researched this out with super ton because it was like, we're gonna find the facts out at a public hearing.
right,
So now we have to get our boots on the ground, which I will do. Hannah and I'll take care of that. And we'll bring this back to 27th. But I believe that we're in agreement that we just don't have the motion that we're in agreement. We're just gonna send the letter that we don't approve
correct.
and let them take the ball.
It's a learning curve and
Yeah,
that's what we're doing. Based on what we know.
They have to have it by what, 4th you said?
7th.
7th, all right.
So,
That would be, we'd have plenty of time, even if
Yeah.
it's just mailed. We could send a certified mail or whatever, and make sure that it gets there on time. That's right. That's right. Everybody comfortable with that?
Yes.
Yes,
Perfect.
thank you.
Thank you, Hannah, for all your extra work there.
All right, 13, preparing for Congresswoman Balint's visit, discussion, and announcement.
So, our friend Bill Cottrell, when he was on the board, reached out to Congresswoman Valent, and her staff to request, either a meeting or just some assistance with getting funding for essential services. They were very responsive. I'm in touch with them on a couple different occasions with different funding opportunities, different ideas of support, such as USDA, Community Facilities Loan Program. So I met with Jason from Pownal Valley, and we met with the capital financing, I think it was called. So stuff has started to sort of happen from this connection, and they have offered to come down and do a visit with us. And in the midst of planning, we kind of didn't want to just keep it like this private visit with essential services. We wanted to open it so that public could come and meet with her as well, and share ideas that they have or things they think the town needs and that sort of thing. And we never have federal attention. We never have. I don't know that this has ever happened, you know, a congresswoman coming to Pownal. So my hope is that we can host her here. There were some questions, you know, what would that look like? Because this is a planning place. But you all saw that Julie reached out to the state and they said that she's not campaigning. She's not on the ballot. It is not a political event. She is coming to hear from everyone. It is not one side or the other. So we are.
And it is for a specific reason. It's not just a general visit.
Right, exactly. So we are perfectly okay to host her here if the board approves us doing that. And the visit is planned for the 21st of February. I did not pick the day or the time. We're just making it work. We're making it work, so.
Did they pick a time or like? It's
Yes, so it's like noon to 3, so we're doing 12:30 to 1:30 as a luncheon meet and greet. And then after that, there'll be a private meeting for the fire departments and rescue squad with her.
But the public part will be 12:30 to 1:30.
And that would be hosted right here,
If you approve.
if we approve it. That's right.
And
So
I-
we're looking to approve Congresswoman Balint to come here at the town office on Friday, February 21st.
I have a couple more questions.
Sure, I just make sure what we're talking about.
Are they requesting us to cover additional security details, any special requests, anything like that?
The US Capitol Police will be handling all of her security.
Okay,
So they'll reach out to the sheriff's department if they need to, and they'll take care of that stuff.
okay. And they'll be absorbing that cost. It's not like they're gonna send us a bill for it.
Yes, and they're also, we're gonna have some food, so I've reached out to the Winchesters to try to get like sandwich platters. They're going to reimburse for the food as well.
Okay,
So basically, it's a no cost to have someone, a federal congresswoman come in, congressperson, come into our town and have a meet and greet, which probably is pretty much one of the first times ever, right?
Which I'm really, really excited about.
So I think it's kind of cool. Right?
and it's a,
Put a highlight
will be a
on it.
non-political event. I'm perfectly fine with that to take place here.
All
This isn't a campaign stop. It's not a rally. It's to address a concern that was raised to her by a previous select board member. I'm fine with it.
And we did reach out. We've done our homework on this to make sure that it's perfectly okay to have it in a polling place. So we're good. What's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion that we, approve trying to come up with the right words.
Hosting.
What's the hosting of Congressman Paulette
Congresswoman.
on the 21st of February?
Congresswoman.
Yeah.
Congresswoman.
Yep. Second it.
Any more discussion? Any questions? That would be from 12:30 to 1:30 or 12 to 1:30?
12:30 to 1:30.
12:30 to 1:30. It will be open to the public from that time. It's not a closed door
No, it's open to the public.
Here in this room?
Yep, beer.
It will look totally different.
Oh, I'm sure.
I have a week to get it done, but it will be done.
Yep, so,
Can you make the letter from Julie and the response from the state
It's in,
in the minutes?
yes, Hannah, we make sure that goes in. It's in the server folder.
That way, if anybody has any questions, like, just to prove up front that like,
Right,
Yeah, I definitely already planned for that.
all right, thank you.
very good.
I have a motion, I have a second. Is there any more questions or discussion on this?
No?
All those in favor?
Aye. All right, thank you. I feel much better about it, because at first I was a little concerned about it.
Yep.
I thought it was gonna be a political event and that I was gonna have a problem with
I
that.
understand the
Yep.
concern.
Yep, no, that's why we reached out and,
So, thank you.
To make it.
Hopefully he's been on, his personal email's been on the chain still, so.
Good.
13A, Conservation Commission and Parks and Rec letters of interest. Let's do the Conservation Commission first, please.
So we had two letters that I forwarded you all when they came in and then again today. One was from Tom Zoper and the other was from Joe Gantz. They were both considerably long letters, so I'm not going to read them. Just looking for thoughts. They were only two letters of interest and there are two open spots. And they did not have a quorum last, this week for a meeting, unfortunately.
Well, I would make a motion, we accept the letters and appoint them to the Conservation Commission then, if we've got open positions and letters of interest.
Yep.
I have always been in favor of appointing people to boards if they're interested.
Second,
And we advertised for the 3 weeks.
correct. Second,
that.
I have a motion and a second for, Mr. Gantz and Mr. Zolford to be appointed to the Conservation Commission. Per their letters of interest. All those in favor?
Aye.
Parks and Rec,
Okay, hold on one sec. So we had a letter of interest from Alexandra Wheel, and she is interested in joining Parks and Rec. I forwarded that letter to you all as well.
and we have openings on Parks and Rec.
Mhm.
What's your pleasure?
I make a motion to accept Alexandra for one position on Parks and Rec.
second,
Does that still leave one position or two positions?
It's kind of, it's a committee, so
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't have a,
It
It's a
doesn't,
non-stipend position with, I don't believe there's a limit on it.
okay,
If people want to join, the more the merrier.
exactly.
same as the Conservation Commission. All those in favor?
Aye.
Did you get a second on that?
Jamie.
Okay.
The only downside of having it open like that is when you run into not needing a quorum. If you have 20 people on something and only 6 show up.
right.
Boric grant expense approval.
So we had a VORIC update meeting this week, and Jennifer and Nate from Parks and Rec met with Youth Conservation Corps, who gave an estimate on designing and building trail in the forest land, the new Pownal Town Forest. It's all part of the grant, it's part of what we said we were going to accomplish with the grant money. They gave an estimate of $3,000 to design 3 trails. That was sort of a maximum or not to exceed, because they figure it'll take them about a week or 40 hours to do that. And then the work, the actual building the trails is $8,000 a week. And they think at least 1 week per trail or estimating. So we have budgeted money in the grant and we won't go over that budgeted amount, but because of our purchasing policies, the way they are, I just need you all to put it in the minutes that you approve us working with Youth Conservation Corps, because we have previously used them, we've had a great relationship with them. There are a ton of services offered around here like that. And we'd just like to remain consistent.
I was gonna say, we use them for the river path.
Yep.
To go.
Yep.
So,
And also they wouldn't be able to do it until September.
Yes.
Right.
But we have to sort of solidify our spot.
You're on the board, what's your thoughts?
I am all for it. Like, we were very happy with the work on the other trail.
Okay.
And I mean, honestly, the work needs to be done. We we lack the volunteers to be able to just pull together volunteers to go do it. So if we want it, we kind of have to spend the money.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the youth court working on the town project, or town lands project for the 3 trails.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
13C, Tara's leadership course expense approval.
If I printed anything, did you all see what I sent you?
Yes.
But now I am totally blanking out what it's called. It's from the Leadership Academy. From the Office of Professional Development Academy, and it is a leadership training. I know I have it here somewhere.
Sounds all positive to me.
Yeah, it's $1,000 to do it, so I didn't wanna just go ahead and sign up for it, but it's a high performance leadership, so it covers things like leadership and mindset, positive engagement, leading effective change, communication and collaboration, and leading high performance teams.
Yep.
It's a 4-month thing, you get a certification, it's all remote, so I won't have to leave and
Okay, perfect.
anything.
I make a motion to, let Tara take this for $1,000 for professional development.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? I think it's a great thing.
I do too.
At least moving forward.
Yep.
Now, is there already money in the budget for education?
Yeah, we have training.
I wanted just to make sure that we are stating that this isn't just we're pulling money for something else.
From my, expense line for training.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting recording policy discussion and possible approval.
So Hannah adjusted the meeting recording policy, which I then realized we never brought back. Remember when we updated policies and we put them all in this header, we never brought this one back with the header, so it kind of worked out. But she removed the FaceTime Live. That's the only change.
Facebook Live.
Oh,
Yes.
Facebook, sorry.
It's okay.
It's been a long day.
Yes.
FaceTime was a long time ago, wasn't it? Wasn't that something that happened while we were, I think when my kids were little, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to make sure we're on the right page.
Yep.
Is everybody reading this policy?
Yep.
And the only thing is we removed the Facebook Live portion of it.
Yep.
Make a motion to accept the meeting policy
With the change.
with the change.
I'll second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any more discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We remove 14. So we are on to public comment. Any public comment here? No hands up?
Anybody?
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
And I get to pick.
You can pick one. I have a motion and I have a second from the same two people, so we'll flip a coin if we have to. Because it was pretty simultaneous.
Okay. Let me,
All those in favor?
You sign.
I'll sign the hand to you.
Aye.
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 Thank you, everyone. Have a great night and, stay safe if you're on the road.
That wind is crazy